I am alive, I guess. The branches on my hand are full of morning glory, and at my finger's end the carmine tingles warm, and if I hold a glass across my mouth, it blurs it. Physicians, proof of breath. I am alive, because I am not in a room, the parlor, commonly, it is, so visitors may come and lean, and view it sidewise, and add how cold it grew, and was it conscious when it stepped in immortality. I am alive, because I do not own a house, entitled to myself, precise, and fitting no one else, and marked my girlhood's name, so visitors may know which door is mine, and not mistake, and try another key. How good, to be alive. How infinite, to be alive, twofold. The birth I had, and this, besides, in the In the first sentence, we see there is hesitation when she adds, I guess, questioning this factual statement of her being alive. She could either mean that she isn't physically alive, or she is alive but not living. From the second through the fourth lines, she speaks as though she is a tree, describing her hands as branches with morning glories entangled between them. Carmine is a color similar to scarlet. The ambiguity of this statement leaves it open to interpretation, possibly meaning anything from a heart to a mouth. The second through fourth lines could be there to clear the question of her being alive by using a so-called scientific method. Since her breath can't be seen by the human eye, it can be seen when using a glass. Notice how she doesn't use I guess in the first line and now speaks with more firmness. She claims her reason for living is that she's not confined to a small space, particularly the parlor, the nicest room in the house where visitors would stay. She could be suggesting here that she is glad that she doesn't have to face any of those visitors. The spectators, or the visitors, observe it with curiosity. It could quite possibly be a tree, based off of previous information. How cold it grew could mean that there was someone, possibly a visitor, that wanted it to stay the same. Oddly enough, Dickinson uses the phrase, stepped into immortality as though immortality is on another side, kept separated from mortality by a defined line, and somebody could cross over this boundary. It may or may not be easy to cross this boundary, but judging by how the question, was it conscious, was added, it could possibly mean that it's a difficult boundary to pass, maybe even painful. Another reason that she is alive is that she isn't bound to a place by name. She doesn't have a claim over it, and it belongs to neither her nor anyone else. The idea of being free is similar to that of the Roswalden. Her girlhood name could be her maiden name. With that, she could have her maiden name written on a door to let visitors know that this is the door of her, not of her husband's, and they will leave her be. We do not know who the speaker is, but for now we will assume it's Dickinson. The visitors will know that they should either leave her alone or try to find another way to communicate, by trying another key to her head or heart. At this point, her mood has changed from mellow to excited by realizing how lovely life is, shown by her word choices and exclamation points. Twofold means twice, so she could be implying that by being immortal, she is living twice. The birth may be referencing to her rebirth as an immortal, or the birth of her new life. The isn't specified, but it could be the reader. The overall summary of this poem is that she's realizing how great it is to be alive. I personally believe that this story is about her as a tree. She's a tall, old tree growing deep in the woods, far from anyone. She's so old that she could be considered immortal, with flowers that have grown all the way up to her branches. She's in the open, with no land officially claimed for her. I'm alive, I guess the tips of my fingers faded to sheer black and yet my hand lingers. Cold craving heat, if they were to return and shriek, it echoes off the surface smooth unscathed. Perhaps I am gone yet. I stay the living room. Glossy flecked slowly ticking by a raspy tube. Aging crumbling with dignity. A mirror collecting dust withstanding polite murmurs. Handcuffed by daily white roses. I am gone and yet I cling to my soundless voice. Painfully patient reaching. To crack the stoic void. With the shadow's dull eyes devoid mouth pressed to heavy silence. Feebly reaches ahead a lace curtain. Folds over. Crashing. Dark. Lonely, it scrapes. Making no sense it lacks. Strength gathering ashes. Before a dawning black. Like the previous poem, the rhyme scheme is ABCB every other stanza and also begins with the line, I'm alive I guess. Automatically, we visualize a hand that is slowly fading, yet it still holds on. The hand from before is cold, yet it craves heat. Because it wants something, it is alive, however, it's cold, so it can also be dead. The shriek released would simply echo off of the surface, so it would go unnoticed by anyone there. The speaker is hesitating, changing its idea of being alive. It thinks it is gone, and yet it is still in a recognizable living room which holds an old, raspy tomb. The tomb is clearly old, for it's starting to fall apart and collect dust. Visitors have been going to it, paying their respects. The speaker is being figuratively handcuffed to the tomb by the white roses placed on it every day. The speaker points out again that they are gone, but they cling to a soundless voice that remains, a paradox. The voice, while silent, is waiting so that it can one day crack the barrier and reach others. The speaker, the shadow, is unable to speak. Like the last stanza said, the speaker is looking to reach others, but is unable due to a lace curtain that falls over the speaker. Although made of lace, it's heavy and no light can reach through it. The lace curtain can be assumed to be something like a funeral blanket. The speaker is scraping away at the darkness. It can either be confused with its actions, or maddened in general. Instead of going any further, it resorts to sweeping up ashes. The ashes can possibly reference to ashes of a cremated body,